Hey YouTube, I meant to post a second video last week. I went to go and edit it on my computer and realized that the whole thing was blurry. My autofocus never kicked in, and so I thought rather than posting a blurry video, I would just re-record it and add it to the things that I wanted to talk about in this video. Last week's video was about authenticity, what that means for me, how that plays a part of my life, how I've come to interpret that, and really just how it impacts a lot of what I think goes on in my day-to-day. I struggled a lot with being authentic all through my adolescence, all through growing up, pretty much from the time I hit puberty until I decided to transition and come out. I was like all over the place and it was chaos. When I came out in high school and identified as a lesbian, I thought that that was my authentic self. And I thought that that was going to change a lot about how I was going to be able to grow from that. And unfortunately for me, that really wasn't my authentic self. That wasn't who I was. It was a stepping block in a direction, but it wasn't me. And so I still struggled and I was really lost, and I just never felt like I was really in my own space. When I came out as trans, everything changed. Everything I thought would happen when I embraced my authentic self happened this time. I struggled a lot with anxiety and depression all through kind of those rough years of adolescence and high school. And I just kind of had figured maybe that was just a natural disposition for me. I was always going to be a little bit anxious, a little bit depressed here and there. And so I didn't think it had anything to do with being authentic. Come to find out, I transitioned. The more I became my authentic self, the further I got into my transition and became comfortable with who I was, I started to notice that I was less anxious, I was less depressed, I was wanting to be social again, I was wanting to do things out in the world that I hadn't done in years. I used to think that I was just part of who I was. And I think to some degree I am still an anxious person when it comes to particular things. I still have a tendency to get a little blue here and there, but it's not to the degree that it was before. And I think a lot of that had to do with me not feeling comfortable in who I was and being able to express who I was, just without all the like mirrors and lights. So this is where I struggle a little bit, and it's around the characteristics that I embody and feeling like maybe I've lost sight a little bit of who I am, who is my authentic version of myself. I'm very drawn to particular qualities in whether it's a character on TV or some person that I met somewhere else. I'm very drawn to a particular characteristic they have. If I am drawn to a particular characteristic that they have, I want it. I want it for myself. I want it to become part of my being. And my hope is that that does not deter me from remembering who I am authentically, and that I don't become that person or a mix of those people, that I remember at my heart who I am and the characteristics and values that I feel are most important. I've come to discover that being authentic also kind of plays into being transparent in who I am. I'm not out yet at school. I'm out now to 2 people because we have a class project that involves us counseling each other one-on-one. And I chose for my problem when the person counseled me that my problem was that I wanted to come out and share this with my class. And it kind of threw them for a loop. They thought I was kind of joking around. And I told them, no, this is real. That is who I am. And I want to be able to share it with my class. One, as a learning tool. Not that I'm a learning tool, but as a way to open up dialogue about trans and LGBT issues. 2, I'm most comfortable when people know. We went to a conference for school counseling, and there were workshops specifically around LGBT topics, and I felt like I couldn't share my real reason for wanting to go to those, and it's because they matter a lot to me. They impact me directly. So I felt like I was missing this huge part of my passion for wanting to do this work. So there's that. Being authentic really, for me, is important just in being able to share my story openly. I also struggle a little bit because everybody has their own definition for being authentic and who they are. And I think that's great. We should be having our own definition and picture of who we are as people. Where I draw the line and where I have a problem with that is when people start to put their version of authenticity in and place it on other people. So here's an example, and I'm sure folks who are in the community have experienced this, and it's unfortunate, is where you come across a person and you've shared who you are and you've shared things about yourself, and they tell you that you are not trans enough, or man enough, woman enough, gay enough, whatever it is, add the quotation marks around it, or what it means to be a real trans person, a real man, a real woman, a real whatever, fill in the blank again. And I've come across this several times, and it's unfortunate because here I am sharing a very huge and I think very potentially vulnerable part about myself. And for somebody else to tell me that that's not really, I can't be that person because I'm not whatever enough, I find to be super problematic, definitely damaging, and like it's not for you to decide who I am, right? So it's unfortunate, and I've run across it several times. And so yes, I think we have the right to define ourselves, but we don't have the right to define somebody else. So just something to keep in mind. I want to talk a little bit, I guess, about school, in that I feel this, like I mentioned, a little bit torn because people don't know. So part of that project that I mentioned is that we recorded it. It was video, or filmed, not videotaped, because we don't do that anymore. And it's played in front of my class. My class will then give feedback on the counseling session. My hope is that this also sparks conversation, because it has come up a couple times in class where people ask about trans things, partly because of the conference or examples that come up in our text, and I'm hoping it provides a platform to then open a dialogue and feel safe enough to maybe ask a question that they wouldn't ask normally, or they haven't thought of, and maybe it sparks something in their head. So it's kind of a twofold thing. One, I get to come out to my whole class in one go. Two, I'm hoping it starts a dialogue, because it seems like a lot of people in my class, this is very new for them. This is something that they haven't talked about, they haven't been given the space to talk about, and I'm hoping that my professor, one of the two, will provide that space. So anyways, that's pretty much what my last video was about, and what's kind of been going on since then. I'm really trying to think about topics to cover and things that I'm passionate about. I don't want to post a video just to post a video. I'd like to post videos and be able to talk about something that's really important to me. I've also considered kind of just carrying my camera around with me to be able to just catch things in the moment, record things in the moment, and then put them together in a nice format or something like that. So I appreciate people who are viewing this. I hope that it's valuable, and I hope that you're able to share it with somebody that you may think it may be helpful for. I have tons of videos in my back in my channel of me really going through the meat of my transition, whether it's starting hormones or starting to figure out surgeries and whatnot. So definitely, if you feel like those are valuable to somebody, let them know. Until next time.